Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Welcome to the One Perspective to Another podcast. I am your host, A. Sanders. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for telling two friends to tell two friends. Thank you for getting that merch. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for the YouTube. Thank you for everything. This is episode 128. There is no title. This is just a little quick check-in. A lot has been going on in the world, in my world, in people's world. Just, I guess you could say, some more observations. But first, I'm just going to dive right into it. Hopefully, it's a little shorter episode. Just some thoughts that's been going through my head. The first one is dealing with social media. Like, we've all been at home for the most part of a year almost, about to be a year in a little bit. But a lot of our time is consumed with social media. I'm a victim of it too. And I think it's important for us to remember to, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Instagram, whether it's WhatsApp, whether it's Giphy or whatever it is, whether it's Clubhouse, whatever the new fad is, whatever the new hype is, it's important to follow people who look like you, who inspire you, and people who make you laugh and who make you happy. Like, that is the baseline that I think that is extremely important. Ooh, there go that town business. I know you heard that one in the background. But it's extremely important to make sure that you have at least two out of those three. Because I've seen a lot of people and just going into a toxic realm of, oh, X, Y, and Z looks like this. I got to look like this. This person has that amount of money. This person is going on this trip. Even though we in a pandemic and shit, like, we got to change the way we view people on these socials and the way we view ourselves and the way that we engage in our activity on it. Because it can be to a point where it can be overwhelming. You can get into these wormholes. That's why it's important. Like, even if you are on your phone all day, you looking at a screen all day, you at work all day, I get it. I understand you want that break. You want to be in La La Land. You want to look at all the little pretty videos of animals and all that stuff. And that's well and good. Like, that's cool. But I'm just saying, in the sense of whether you looking at something and you find yourself in that time warp of, I gotta be like this, or I have to do this to be in this level or this prestige or whatever. Like, make sure that you follow, like I said, follow people who look like you, who do the things you do, who inspire you, people who make you laugh, and people who make you happy, whether it's actual people that you know or it's a celebrity. But be mindful of how those celebrities be posting shit on their Instagrams and their Facebooks and all that shit too. Just be mindful of your social presence, I guess you can say, because it's important that we condition ourselves to not be so engulfed with the socials, like the old school ways where you're supposed to read like 20 pages of a book a day. Like, that's still the cool thing to do. It's still the reset, the recharge to help people get through and navigate certain environments and just to learn the old fashioned way. And sometimes you get tired of being on Google. Sometimes you just want to read a good old book. But yeah, that's the first thing I want to say. And the second thing I want to say is about the changing of the guard and the inauguration going on this past week. Child, and a salute to the new president and vice president of the United States of America. And before I say this, I want to say, because I did a podcast about it before with Kamala Harris, and I'm not negating, not one bit, the astounding accomplishment of becoming the vice president of the United States. It is a prestigious job. It is a prestigious accomplishment for a woman. Because I did podcasts about it, like when Hillary ran. I was like, why aren't more people excited that a woman's running? And I fast forward till now, and it's just like a completely different stigma around it. It's like, why is it cool now, but back then it wasn't? Like, I get people didn't want her to win, but it was just even her being in the attempt of running. And like, I weigh these two things heavily because people didn't like Hillary, but she still did the same thing. She didn't win, but being in that office of presidency, to even be there, to get that close, and then you fast forward, like Kamala, she won the vice president role, but she's just praised, and above all means it's like it's the first. I just don't see the correlation, and like we pick and choose whether we want to celebrate people or celebrate women or celebrate anything. I just don't think, maybe it's society, maybe it's me, maybe it's just the optics that I look at things in, but I don't think that it's fair that you praise one woman but then you just disregard another woman. Because with everything going on in the world, whether you white, black, Puerto Rican, whatever you are, like, the end goal is to treat everybody as a human, but there is no correlation to that. Because people, there's a lot of people that say Kamala did some shitty ass things when she was out here, and that's a whole different thing. But it's like, everybody got skeletons in their closet. Everybody is not 100% perfect. But like I said too, people gonna say to me like, I can already hear the people just like, oh, Aaron, you can't do this. You gotta let people celebrate the victory and whatnot. But it's like, I just personally, I don't see the world like that. I just don't see one side of things. I see everything. That's why my shit is perspective, one perspective to another. Like, literally, eagle eye view on everything that goes on, to understand not only one side but the other side, to make sure that people know, like, this shit just ain't all rainbows and gummy bears and shit. Like, it's still things that need to happen. Like, and like I said, it's 100% praise and all the powerful things and things that women went through and not being able to vote. Somebody posted that on I can't remember who it was, but it highlighted all the vice presidents, and then it had her, and one of them, the boxes was wasn't even, or from being a slave to segregation to being in the same kind of schools, then to women being able to vote, and then I forgot what the last one is, but it shows the process. And I don't know if it's just because of being a black person. Like, to me, a lot of these things that people talk about, especially white people, like, those things were instilled in me in a very young age about my skin color and me being who I am as an individual. I live to be a human being. I treat others as human beings, but I will not allow somebody to disregard the fact that I am treated other ways than what I project out to the world. People see me, the perception of me, the reality of me is I am a black man in America. And you cannot change that. I can't change my skin. I'm not Michael Jackson. I can't do that. But it's like, you get to a certain point where you have to be aware of what's not and what really is, because as much as I want to just treat everybody like a human, like, I go back to it, like, I'm still just a black man, and all those things that people talk about in the history and the things that's going on, the movies that's coming out, like, I've lived it, I've seen it, I have friends who've been through it, I have family who's been through it. Like, this isn't new to me. It's the old saying, what's understood ain't gotta be explained. But the fact that it still has to be explained to people is the part that makes me go, why? Like, is it really still that obvious or not obvious to you that you don't see this. And that's the part that's really hurtful, in the sense of like, yeah, I've seen this story a million times. Excuse me. Shout out to Nate Parker for making that movie American Skin. I learned a lot of good stuff. He had a good ass interview on Ebro in the Morning talking about that movie. And spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, something that caught my eye or my attention was that his the character's name was Lincoln Jefferson, and how with the slaves and like being a slave, he worked for the or he went to war with the military, coming back, being a father whose son was killed in a traffic stop because he was profiled. Like, everything just went against him. And that feeling of helplessness and questioning yourself as not only a human, but as a black man, as a father, those questions, that pain that he has to deal with, led him on this crazy chase to get justice. And the whole premise of it, to me, I feel is like that's every black person's struggle in everyday life, is how do I find justice in me just being a person? And some people say, well, it ain't even that deep, but it really is, because like I said earlier, yes, I am a human, but I am perceived as a black person. I am perceived as a black male in America. There's many different feelings that go along with it, many different thoughts that go along with it. And this is like he said in the interview too, like it's a start of a conversation. There's many pieces to this puzzle. It's society, it's classism, it's racism, it's all the isms. Ooh, town business going off. It's the isms, it's the social injustices. It's everything combined, but we don't ever want to put them together and say like this is X, Y, and Z. And something else that he said that really caught my attention is like you're not going to be able to just say, hey, take away my privilege so everybody can be right. Who wants to take away their privilege? And I'm pretty sure it's people who argue and say the magical word of quotations, but this or but that, or you're creating this kind of separation, you're doing this to negate it. But it's like you have to teach how we feel and what we are still feeling, because if you don't, it's just ignored, and then it'll happen to your kids or your children or your goddaughters and godsons, because it's not something that can just knock on the door and say, I'm here. It could happen at any time. It could happen at any moment, and you have to be prepared for it. And there's a lot of people who are going to be raising babies or already have young children. I want to get a podcast on here, get some fathers and mothers on here and get them perspective on raising kids today too. That'd be pretty dope. But just that thought process of like, yo, you have to protect yourself, and that these laws weren't written with you in mind, but you still gotta abide by them. Like, it's just a lot of things. It's like almost like being the child in the relationship with America. Like, do as I say, not as I do. But like, it doesn't add up, and it's not right. But that led me all the way around just to get back to me saying, like, these are still things that are going on in America. Just because Biden and Kamala got Trump out does not mean that racism is gone. It does not mean that anything has changed. We just had a day of celebration for them to be in the White House. I understand it's a transition of power, but changing the things that Trump did while he was in power to create that shift, like, that's cool. I appreciate it. But where is the change going to be after this? We're still in a pandemic. It's still hundreds of businesses that are going out. Like, businesses are moving out of California. Like, it's a whole lot of change going on. Not only just from the social standpoint, but just from the business standpoint too. Like, we are in a complete flux, and people just act like it's willy-nilly. Like, hey, everything's cool. But that's my question. Like, how do we deal with these truths? How do we hold people who don't know that it's not okay to not be accountable in any situation? Like, that's not okay. And it's like I said earlier, when people if you tell somebody your story and then you open up to them and tell them like what you going through, what you experience, and then the first thing that they come out of their mouth and say is, but you can do X, Y, and Z. Like, it's a complete dismissal of the feelings. It's a complete dismissal of real understanding and real empathy towards the person in their situation that they're going through. For whatever it is, whether it's health, whether it's race, whether it's life, whether it's work, whatever it is, we got to be more conscious of our understanding and our listening to people. Because, yeah, people make choices and people make mistakes. We're all human. But the thing that separates you from your growth is being accountable for it. Period. There is no but to that. It's a simple choice. If I did X, Y, and Z afterwards, these are what happens from me choosing X, Y, A, B, and C. Like, that's how you get better, because then X, Y, and Z won't happen no more. Then you can go on and teach the other person, the next person. Then it's the beautiful cycle. It's the beautiful cycle. And I say that to end this by saying, who is going to be accountable for America? Is it society? Is it us? What's the next step in order for us to be accountable for our actions? Ooh, town business. To be accountable for our actions as a nation, as a group, as people, as individuals. Where do we go from here? Question of the week. Question of the month. Probably be question of the month too, because it's going to be Black History Month. And you know we going to get into all these topics. Hopefully get some people on here, but we'll see. But as always, just my perspective, just my thoughts going into this week. Like I said, make sure you follow somebody who inspires you this week. Do something for yourself this week. Make sure that you're happy this week. Make sure that you are content. And if you're not, figure out why. Look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, what am I not doing right? What am I feeling? Am I triggered by something? Did somebody do something to me? Am I not fulfilled? Because we ignore a lot of this stuff. Ooh, town business. We ignore a lot of the things that go on within ourselves that make us us. So, with that being said, and shout out to the town business in the background if you can hear it. This is episode 128, and I will catch you on the flip side, and I'm out.
And I'm so tired, yeah, all I need is good vibes. Shit ain't right on this side, yeah, all my niggas dying and the president be lying. I got Zop in this raw, I wanna fly, put the Zaza in the sky. Shit ain't right on this side, yeah, all my niggas dying and the president be lying. I got Zop in this raw, I wanna fly. Losing my cool, I'm losing my patience. You using your stimulus just to lose it in Vegas. I see a lot of APs, I see a lot of Rolexes. I'ma buy them off of these niggas right after the demic. I can show you what style, I can show you what rapping. After all this shit that happened, no, we gotta be brothers. Cal Williams said we good and we better than that. But we get shot and nothing happens, how we settle for that? You see my culture expensive, that's why they paying it to us. It be you Terry Crews niggas tap dancing for that. I never let nobody lesser treat me lesser than them. You can't have no Mr. Childs eating Panda Express. I'm burning sage in the studio before I let niggas near. I leave my weapon by the speaker so they hearing me clear. I mean the money be cool, I did amazing this year. I mean I'm famous but I'm drained, I need some prayer for real. And I'm so tired, yeah, all I need is good vibes. Shit ain't right on this side, yeah, all my niggas dying and the president be lying. I got Zop in this raw, I wanna fly, Put the Zaza in the sky. Shit ain't right on this side. Yeah, all my niggas dying and the president be lying. I got Zop in this raw, wanna fly. Yeah, you know, slick as El Gato. Don't worry about the kicks, nah, Slim, you ain't got those. Rest in peace, Hermione, some pop smoke. I pray you keep some fire and some Palo Santo. The Capitol, the city was made of chocolate. I seen the Capitol building full of a bunch of rioters, looters, and super white people that was getting too rowdy. You do that and you black, they gon' clap you and hug your mommy like, cool story, whole country been cold-blooded. Tell Tammy Lawrence and Candace O'Neal it's nothing. And patriotic energy, iffy in 21, cause 2020 showed me my vision was truly blurry. I'm tired. I'm fried, we all need a reset. Akata or Nasha, I always been a reject. I always been a lot of things, but none of them a weak link. But everything I lied, I hope you sparking when you and sing I'm it so like tired. Yeah, all I need is good vibes. Shit ain't right on this side. Yeah, all my niggas dying and the president be lying. I got Zop in this raw, wanna fly. Put the Zaza in the sky. Shit ain't right on this side. Yeah, all my niggas dying and the president be lying. I got Zop in this raw, wanna fly.